If you're a diehard Browns fan and love breaking down the game like we do, hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell so you never miss a blitz. The Cleveland Browns have found themselves in the spotlight once again, not for a major victory on the field, but for the off-field developments surrounding their rookie running back, Quinshon Judkins. Signed just this past Saturday to his rookie deal, Judkins has already become a central talking point in Cleveland's football conversation. ESPN's Adam Schefter, one of the most trusted insiders in the NFL, dropped the bombshell that Judkins' first appearance in the league could come much sooner than anyone expected. According to Schefter, there is a strong likelihood that Judkins will suit up in Week 2 against division rivals, the Baltimore Ravens. This revelation is significant because Browns fans had been preparing for a longer wait to see their rookie back in action, especially after his tumultuous summer. Suddenly, the tone has shifted from doubt to anticipation, and all eyes are now locked on the calendar, counting down to Baltimore. But before we dive too far into the excitement of his potential debut, let's rewind to the circumstances that had Judkins sidelined in the first place. On July 12th, in Fort Lauderdale, the young running back was arrested on a misdemeanor domestic violence charge, throwing his rookie year into chaos before it even began. Training camp came and went without him on the field. Preseason opportunities passed him by, robbing him of valuable reps and chemistry-building time with the Browns offense. For a rookie running back, missing that stretch can often derail an entire first season. Yet, despite all of that, the tides may be turning in his favor. The charge was eventually dropped last month, and the official memorandum declining the case cited insufficient evidence, a lack of surveillance footage, and conflicting accounts. It was a messy episode, but one that no longer appears to be holding him back legally, clearing a path for football to once again become the focus. Adam Schefter's report adds a layer of optimism for Browns fans who have been searching for positives in what has been an up-and-down offseason. He noted that Judkins is scheduled to meet with the NFL this week regarding its investigation into the matter, and while that meeting remains a pivotal step, the expectation is that the league may not impose immediate action that would prevent him from playing. That's why the idea of a Week 2 debut feels not just possible, but probable. For Cleveland, this could not come at a more crucial time. Their offense has been under scrutiny for its ability to sustain drives and finish games, and with Nick Chubb still working his way back from last season's injury, depth at the running back position is essential. Bringing in a player like Judkins, who showed incredible promise during his college career, could immediately shift the dynamic of the offense. Still, Week 1 will likely not feature Judkins, and that is an important detail to underline. After all, he has not participated in a single training camp drill or preseason rep. Throwing him into live action without even a week of practice under his belt would be reckless, even for a desperate team. Instead, Jerome Ford is expected to carry the bulk of the load as the Browns' primary running back for the season opener. Ford, while capable, is unproven as a full-time lead back, which puts immense pressure on him to perform. Behind him, rookie Dylan Sampson, a fourth-round pick in 2025, is expected to chip in. Sampson brings fresh energy, but the reality is that he is still learning the pro game. All of this creates a unique scenario where Cleveland needs Judkins badly, but has to exercise just enough patience to ensure that when he does step onto the field, he's ready to contribute immediately. The circumstances around Judkins' arrest add another complex layer to this story. The memo detailing why the charges were dropped paints a picture of a case with little to no chance of conviction. There were no independent witnesses, no surveillance video capturing the alleged incident, and even the photographic evidence presented was deemed inconclusive, given that other videos showed no visible injuries around the same time frame. The inconsistencies and the delayed reporting ultimately worked against the credibility of the case. In the end, prosecutors decided there simply was not enough to move forward. While that decision clears Judkins legally, it doesn't entirely erase the cloud of doubt that comes with such accusations, fair or not. NFL fans, and especially those in Cleveland, now wrestle with the duality of welcoming a promising young player while still acknowledging the seriousness of the allegations that briefly derailed his career. For the Browns organization, this is another test of balancing football ambitions with public perception. The NFL has made it clear in recent years that off-field conduct will be scrutinized closely, regardless of whether charges hold up in court. That's why Judkins' meeting with the league this week looms so large. Commissioner Roger Goodell and his office have the authority to impose disciplinary measures independently of the legal system, citing violations of the personal conduct policy. So even though the case was dropped, there remains at least some risk that Judkins could face a suspension. However, the tone of Schefter's report suggests optimism from team insiders that the rookie may not face immediate punishment, which has fueled this sudden momentum toward a Week 2 debut. Until that meeting happens, though, uncertainty lingers, keeping everyone on edge. If Judkins does indeed make his first NFL appearance against the Ravens, the stage could not be bigger or more challenging. Baltimore is not only a division rival, but also one of the league's most physical defenses year after year. Making a debut in such hostile territory would be a trial by fire, but perhaps that is exactly what Judkins needs. Sometimes players thrive under pressure, and for a running back, there may be no better way to introduce yourself to the NFL than by grinding out yards against the Ravens' front seven. For Cleveland, it would also serve as an early season measuring stick. Can their new-look backfield stand up to one of the AFC's most consistent contenders? Can Judkins prove that the drama of the summer is behind him, and that his focus is solely on the game? Those are the questions that fans and analysts alike will be asking. Looking ahead, the Judkins storyline has all the makings of one of the most fascinating subplots of the Browns season. On one hand, there is the undeniable talent he brings to the table, a player capable of breaking tackles, hitting gaps with speed, and energizing an offense that desperately needs a spark. On the other, there is the reality that his journey to this point has already been overshadowed by off-field issues that nearly derailed his rookie year before it even began. For Cleveland, the hope is that Week 2 marks the beginning of a fresh chapter, one where Judkins can show his value between the lines. For Judkins himself, this is a chance at redemption, a chance to prove not only to the league but to himself that he belongs here. And for the fans, it's about hope, excitement, and the belief that maybe, just maybe, this is the turning point for their team. In the end, football is often about stories, and Quinton Judkins' story is still being written. The Browns, their fans, and the entire NFL will be watching closely to see how the next chapter unfolds. Will Week 2 against the Ravens be the night that Judkins bursts onto the scene and begins carving out his place in Cleveland's backfield? Or will further complications, whether from the league's investigation or from the natural challenges of a rookie season, delay that breakthrough? No one can say for certain just yet. But what is certain is that this rookie running back has already commanded national attention before ever taking a snap in the NFL. That, in itself, speaks to both the promise and the controversy surrounding him. Now, it's all about translating that attention into production and proving that the excitement Adam Schefter sparked wasn't premature, but rather the start of something big. Enjoying the content so far? Smash that like button and drop your take in the comments. We want to hear what you think about the Browns this season. Cleveland is buzzing right now, and not just because the football season is looming closer, but because one of the biggest defensive storylines of the offseason has finally reached confirmation. TREY Hendrickson, the relentless edge rusher who has been terrorizing quarterbacks with the Bengals, is now officially the new QB hunter for the Cleveland Browns. This move has immediately ignited conversations across the AFC North, because Hendrickson's presence doesn't just add another weapon to Cleveland's arsenal, it completely shifts the balance of power in one of the NFL's toughest divisions. For years, Hendrickson built a reputation as a motor that never stops, a player who thrives on pressure moments and thrives even more when the offensive line is gasping for air. And now, pairing him with Myles Garrett isn't just about defensive depth. It's about unleashing a nightmare scenario for opposing quarterbacks who already struggled facing the Browns' front. What makes this move so electrifying is not simply the signing itself, but the ripple effect it creates across every aspect of Cleveland's defensive identity. The Browns were already top tier when it came to pressuring quarterbacks, but depth and consistency across the defensive line have sometimes raised questions when fatigue or injuries crept in. With Hendrickson, they don't just add another player. They add an attitude, a force of nature that feeds on disrupting the rhythm of an offense. Imagine an offensive coordinator sitting down to draw up plays against the Browns and realizing he has to deal with Myles Garrett crashing from one side and TREY Hendrickson barreling from the other. That is not just uncomfortable, it is borderline unfair. Suddenly, Defensive backs will have less time to cover, linebackers will have more freedom to play aggressive, and the entire unit elevates. Fans across Cleveland are already chanting Hendrickson's name, even before he's played a single snap in the brown and orange. The city has always embraced defensive players who embody grit, toughness, and a relentless drive, and Hendrickson is practically the poster child for that mentality. He is not a flashy social media figure, not someone who makes headlines for antics outside the field. He's a workhorse, the kind of player who puts his head down and simply hunts. And that word, hunt, is exactly why fans are so hyped. Because for so long, Browns fans have wanted a defense that embodies the city's blue-collar spirit, and this signing feels like a perfect marriage of identity and talent. Already, local sports radio is filled with callers predicting sack totals, debating if the Browns now have the scariest defensive line in football, and some even daring to say this is the move that finally tips Cleveland into true Super Bowl contention. Rival fans, of course, are not taking this lightly. Bengals supporters in particular are in shock, because not only did they lose one of their most consistent defensive stars, but he went directly to a hated division rival. That type of transfer doesn't just sting, it feels like betrayal. For the Ravens and Steelers, it's now about recalibrating offensive schemes, knowing that pocket time just became even shorter. You can already imagine Lamar Jackson scanning film and realizing he'll need to make quicker reads, or Kenny Pickett's coaching staff drilling him on rollout plays to escape constant pressure. It's no longer enough to prepare for Garrett alone. Hendrickson's presence forces every team in the AFC North to rewrite parts of their playbook. The ripple extends even further. Other AFC contenders will have to account for this front if the Browns make it deep into January. But the real intrigue lies not just in the X's and O's, but in the psychology of it all. Opposing quarterbacks know who Hendrickson is. They know he's relentless, that he doesn't give up on plays, that he's one of the league leaders in pure effort sacks. Facing him and Garrett simultaneously will not only affect performance on the field, it will creep into preparation, into mindset, into the way a quarterback feels stepping into the huddle. Confidence can waver when you know that two elite predators are waiting to collapse the pocket. And on the Browns sideline, that confidence flips the other way. Suddenly, defensive coaches can call plays with more aggression, safeties can gamble, corners can jump routes, because they trust the line to force quick throws. Hendrickson's arrival doesn't just add production. It changes the psychology of the game. Cleveland's front office deserves credit too, because this move feels both bold and calculated. They didn't just sign a name for the sake of headlines. They signed a player who perfectly complements what they already have. Andrew Berry, the general manager, has been praised before for his sharp, forward-thinking roster building, but this might be his most aggressive swing yet. By securing Hendrickson, he not only strengthens the defense, but also sends a message across the league. The Browns are not here just to compete. They're here to dominate. For years, Cleveland has battled to shed the narrative of being the underdog, the team that can't quite cross the threshold into elite. Moves like this force analysts and fans alike to reconsider that storyline. This is a statement of ambition, one that could define the season. Of course, with big moves come big expectations, and Hendrickson knows the weight that comes with this type of signing. He's walking into a locker room with stars, but also with pressure. The expectation that sacks will come in bunches, that he'll deliver in primetime, that his production won't dip in a new system. But Hendrickson has never been the type to shy away from responsibility. In Cincinnati, he became a leader not just by performance, but by setting a standard of effort, and those traits will carry over to Cleveland. The Browns' culture under Kevin Stefanski has emphasized accountability and toughness, and Hendrickson fits seamlessly into that mold. If anything, his mentality might even elevate those around him, creating a culture where everyone up front competes to be the hungriest hunter on every snap. And that's what excites fans the most, the idea of unleashing chaos. In football, nothing disrupts a game plan like pressure, nothing shakes confidence like relentless hits on the quarterback, and nothing brings a stadium alive like a sack at a crucial moment. With Hendrickson now in Cleveland, the Dawg Pound is salivating at the thought of Sundays filled with quarterbacks scrambling, offensive linemen gasping for air, and a defense that feels unstoppable. The narrative of the Browns is changing, slowly but surely, from a team defined by offensive hopes to a squad whose defense might carry them into greatness. Hendrickson is more than just a signing. He's a signal, a turning point, a declaration that the Browns are no longer chasing. They're the ones who will now be hunted. And in Cleveland, that's the type of rumor that doesn't fade. It grows louder. Thanks for riding with us on another Browns Blitz. If you liked the video, share it with a fellow fan, hit subscribe, and ring that bell so you're always part of the Dawg Pound conversation. Go Browns!